You really mastered that. You really mastered that video. I love those animations.
I was going to just ask if you want me to change it back, but
that's perfect. How you doing?
Cold.
Cold? Yeah, it's cold in a lot of places.
And did you don't watch football at all, do you?
I used to. I don't have cable anymore, so I can't watch it live. I used to play Pro Line. I used to have fun playing Pro Line. We used to do remote viewing to predict sports outcomes.
Okay,
and
that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, and it was fascinating because there's this thing called associative remote viewing, and the way it works is, and we should even play with this and try it and see if the experience changes. But
okay, so here's the thing: I've never been good at remote viewing, so it would be interesting.
Did you do it on the live call?
I've done it with you. It's been 8 years, 7 years. I don't even remember. But
okay, so for those who aren't familiar with remote viewing, and this is the same protocol that was used Project Stargate by the CIA, and and it was developed by a guy named, or co-developed by a guy named Russell Targ, who's one of the pioneers in laser technology, and it's this formal protocol for psychic stuff. And one of the techniques is called associative remote viewing. So the way remote viewing works is there's a tasker and there's a viewer. So Nick Caldwell here could be a tasker. He would task a target, and then there's one or a team of viewers, and then the viewers know nothing about what the tasking is. So the target in the tasking could be describe GPS coordinates, what's at the location of a GPS coordinate. The tasking could be describe an object on a table in my kitchen. It could be anything, but the viewers are completely blind to what's being tasked. So if there's a team of 5 viewers and we all sketch, an apple, then because 5 of us blindly all drew the same thing, then odds are we're on target, right?
Right.
So the way you do predictive sports outcomes is the tasking, you as the tasker would write down something like, describe the object in the envelope at 11 p.m. on Sunday.
Okay.
So after the game is over, before the game, you would associate maybe a banana to team A wins and a coin to team B wins. So after the game is done, you put whichever object is the correct winner into the envelope. And then before you do any of that, before the game, the viewer views what's in the envelope. And that's kind of how it works. And when I did it, and this would have been 10 to 15 years ago, closer to
maybe
15
it was.
Years ago. Say that again, sorry?
Well, so maybe it was, because I did it with you with a small group, and you I can never line up with it, but then one girl was like spot on every time with you. It was like, it was wild.
But what's interesting is when we did this 15 years ago to predict sports outcomes, on football Sundays, there's, I don't know how many games in a day, like 10 or 20 games.
Sure.
And so I would do it for 5 different games, and I was consistently predicting 80% accurate. So it was always 4 out of 5. There was always 4 right and 1 wrong. So we were predicting accurately the outcomes of these sports games. But what was interesting is as soon as we would start placing wagers on these games, whether I even knew there was going to be wagers or not, because I would let the viewer or the tasker do the wagering, the results would flip to 1 out of 5 would be correct.
The reason they made a big deal this weekend, it was Kansas. They're playing in Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium, and it was the coldest game ever. It was like, feels like negative, crazy cold. Well, that's me. It's been below zero the whole time, the whole week, or the last 5 days. So I'm bundled up.
I'm going to send you one of those like hats, those like parka hats with the big earmuffs.
Well, so now we're done. So there's always 1 week where we get above 100 for the week, and always 1 week where we get below 0 for the week. And so that's like always like the mark of things are all uphill from here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for us, we're used to it being, minus 20s Celsius in January, February. And I think the last couple of days, I think it was +6 yesterday. What is it right now? Right now it's -3 Celsius. So I think we've had an unusually warm winter so far.
We should get together and like figure out a way to not have different scales of measurement. It's so silly. Like when you say stuff, I'm like, okay.
I mean, that's the US is the only one that's different than anybody else.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Cool.
Ours makes sense though. Hey, listen, ours makes sense because I'll tell you why. We got 0, which is cold. 100, which is hot.
But 0,
you go to like 0 to 40.
0 Celsius, that's the freezing point. So what benchmark what benchmark are you guys using for 0 Fahrenheit? What does that even mean?
Cold. It gets below 0, that's cold. Like 32, so 32 is freezing.
Yeah.
You can handle that. That's all day. No worries. Below 0 is cold.
I get it.
Right? Like 0, like if you're at 2 degrees, you're probably like, it's not that cold.
Yeah.
Even if you're -3. Anyway, that's what we should do. That's what we should align our powers to create. A 1 unit of measurement. Yes. I'm with you on the metric system. I'd rather be on metric system. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm fired up.
Okay, so we should probably talk about manifestation and law of attraction and co-creation a little bit. We've got our coffee.
Right,
so what are you fired up about?
I had the best argument with my wife. Did you 2 nights ago?
Did you win the argument? No. Okay, let's hear
it. The winning would not be a good thing. No. All right. So, and this goes along with all that, right? Because she wants something, I want something else, and specifically, she wants a new, bigger house, like since day one.
Okay.
I bought like the house we live in. It's not huge. It's like 1,600 square feet. It's a little guy, but it's bigger than both of our parents ever had. But, we never grew up in anything bigger than this. But I made the mistake of like promising, one day, back when one day, like material things meant to me more, meant more to me. One day we'll have all this stuff. Great. She's held on to it and she's like, it's time. I want a bigger house. And I have no desire for a bigger house at all, period. Okay. To the fact where it's probably what's caused us to have a house for, since we've been ready for 5 years, or she's been ready for it for the last 5 years.
Okay.
And so with something like so stark, like that could be like a marriage ender. Like, honestly, it could be like a very big problem. Yeah. For us, her and I don't think we're there because, like, dude, I've never felt love like I have with her. Yeah. So it would be surprising if that was a game changer or that shut the door. But maybe, enough years of that or enough time of that, right? Sure. So, okay. The question would be, does one person have to change? Like, do I have to change? Like for me.
Okay. So at the end of the day, yes. Desires is not about the actual desire, but it's the belief that this is how this desire is going to allow me to feel.
Okay, good.
Right? So there's something about living in a bigger house that she's associating a more improved emotional state.
Right. And so that's what it gave to. And there was no clarification, but go ahead.
So I would ask her the question,
Yes.
I want a bigger house so that I can fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Right?
And so her word was progressive. She wants to feel progressive.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right. And so here was the argument, because I was clear-headed. And I was like, well, where does progression end? Like 3 days after you have the house, progression stopped. Like, what has to happen from that moment? And now we have a 30-year mortgage on something I don't want to pay. Like, I value security. I value comfort. I value not having to work for someone else for the last 6 years. It's been great.
But here's a question for you.
Now, here we go.
If finances were absolutely of no concern.
Okay, great.
If somebody knocked on your door and said, you know what? See this house down the street? It's bigger, it's newer, it's everything that your wife wants. You want to trade?
Yeah. So because how big is the sure? Would you take a yacht? Sure. But now the yacht's parked on your beachfront property and it probably doesn't work very well there. But would you take a yacht right now? Sure. But then there's conditions and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, but
right?
if there's no conditions, it's simply a trade. Some guy knocks on your door and says,
there's always a condition, because like, look, there's let's say the big ass house, the family never gets together. We got a nice little living room and that's our little meeting place. All of a sudden, maybe that goes away, or maybe, I don't know. I suppose that would be the only thing I'm thought of that isn't financially considered. But financial considerations are a real thing to me, right?
Yeah, and it's because yesterday, I was, we're working on closing on this property.
Okay.
And the property didn't close like it was supposed to on Friday, because the deed, this is an old property. Like, it's been passed down between family for years. Like, it hasn't been sold in over 100 years, maybe 200 years. This is an old property. So the lawyers had to go back to like the old records of like paper deeds, and the paper deeds that came back don't show the same acreage as what's in the computer systems with the government. So because there's a mismatch, and legally the paper deed is the legal thing, then we weren't able to close because numbers weren't matching. So now the seller is paying to do a survey, and that's going to take a few weeks. But it got me reflecting on like all these aspects of me that wanted to surface that like would potentially make me hold back or close out on the deal or walk away. And it was not from a place of fear or not wanting it, but just me, lately I've been in this habit of like being in stillness and really identifying and really feeling out these like cobwebs of old versions of Nick that might be practicing scarcity or fear or anything else, to bring those to the surface and work through them, right? Because if you want to live as your highest timeline self, you can't keep all of those things around. Okay. So for me, part of the exploration is always looking at, why would I resist anything? And is this the same vantage point that my highest timeline me would take?
So, okay, with that, then, like, you feel like you're still stepping in your own way. You're getting in your own way.
And we channeled on it last night, and it's never a matter of like stepping in your own way. And here, like Michelle says, she says, I just clicked on it. Where did it go? She says, do you think you manifested that issue?
Right? I know I did, right?
But here's the thing, is like the mind wants to label it as an issue. Okay. But any circumstance is co-created and orchestrated with source. So it's not an issue per se unless you label it an issue, right? Yeah. It's a circumstance that's designed to bring awareness, right? So it's part of the journey. It's part of the unfolding. Nothing is ever an issue unless we allow our inner critics to label it and define it, and then it grows into an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so for me, it feels like this is now a request to act, or almost like a not good enough, right? There's a because of the financial thing. Well, I would have to step up. Okay. She's been killing it. She's number one. She's best of Omaha. She's the best masseuse, in the city, and it's a big city. Okay. Here I am. I mean, we do this, but I don't like, since they shut down, like the Abraham channel's been shut down. There's nothing flowing in, and
Yep.
I've got other ways to but right now I'm like calm like a bomb, or like a volcano. Like there's something willing to erupt, but it's not today. I don't feel today. And I don't feel like unhappiness about anything in the moment.
Yeah. So something Source always tells me is, they say one of my biggest superpowers is my laser focus.
Great.
Okay. But they also say that laser focus is also a big disadvantage, because what happens is when you apply that laser focus, you're looking in this direction, but you're missing what's over here.
Sure.
Right. So like, if we look at it at that from this context, like, who's to say that your wife can't manifest the money in some way?
Right. And I brought that up too. She don't like
that
answer.
So why is it that you're putting the pressure on your own shoulders to make it happen?
I'm not.
Why can't you be open to Source figuring it out? Okay, good.
I am, and I'm not. But in the argument, right? The argument is a request. You need to step up.
Okay.
And knowing what I know, and she doesn't watch the show unless she's watching today. Hi. But I've learned from you, right?
Yeah, it's
a gestation period too, and I know that I have full trust that it'll happen and honestly, if it doesn't happen, like I've created my wave in the nothing material. It doesn't bring me any more happiness. Like, so that's what there's some like disconnect, because I don't care. Like, I don't care for the bigger thing. Like the creative part sounds great, but it's still in gestation period. I'm the seed underground. And when it happens, it'll happen.
And you can set your intent. My intention is to have a house that she's super happy in, and that I'm super happy in, and that there's no compromise for anyone.
Sounds great. But is there, so I keep thinking about you and your book, right? Waiting and for 8 months, right? Nothing happened. And then voila. I love that. It's very romantic. And I love that. Sounds like me. Sounds like when it's time, and it's like the volcano and the bomb explode, everything goes.
Yep.
And then we create waves, That's kind of been my journey.
Yeah. And
now it feels like I'm rushing it. Like, because right after this, like, so here's, and it's, I'm going to go, like, I've been trying to work from the house and it's not happening. And so the resolution we came to was like, okay, you got to go out and you got to change sceneries and start working in a more productive environment. So that's where I'm headed.
So how does this sound? So how does this sound? So does she believe in all of this co-creation stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what if you said, okay, Brianna, let's put the kids to bed tonight. Let's sit down at the kitchen table and let's you and I together make a list of what we want in the next house.
Okay.
And maybe it'll show up tomorrow. Maybe it'll show up in 10 years from now. But let's energetically set our intention and make a list and get as detailed as we can about it. And then we'll take that list and we'll put it on the wall somewhere in the house. And that is our focused intention.
Okay.
How would that feel?
Great. I mean, okay, we've done that. Next.
I mean, did you see? I don't know if you're on my. How many of you guys are on my email list and saw the diagram I sent out this week? Drop a yes in the chat window. Nick, I don't think you've seen it.
I did not. No.
Okay, let me load it up just quickly.
Okay, let me
and share it for people who haven't seen it. I called this co-creation explained. Let me find my share screen.
I like your multimedia approach. I like you sharing things.
Well, I shared this on the Breakthrough Club yesterday.
Oh, cool.
Let me see here. And we went over this in deeper detail yesterday in the Breakthrough Club. Can everybody see this okay, or is the lettering too small to be able to read? Nick, can you see it okay?
It's pretty small. Can you zoom in?
See if I can.
Yeah, that's nice.
So like a lot of people aren't clear. Everybody here probably understands that, reality is a co-creation between you and source, or you and your source self. But most people don't kind of have that clear definition of this is my role and this is my source self's role, right? And everybody knows, yeah, my source self kind of does the synchronicities and it does work behind the scene. But like, if you're not clear on what your role is, then it's hard for you to kind of maximize or optimize the role of your source self or your inner being, right? In my email, I talked about how when I was at university in computer science, we did this group project. I think there was 4 of us. And one of the guys in this group project thought he was better than everybody else, smarter than everybody else, knew how to do everything better than everybody else. So he tried to like overtake the project and do everything himself and allow other people very little input or to do very little work. And it ended up being the worst mark the whole term was that project. And we had a lot of different projects. But that example is classic relationship between most people and their inner beings. Because when you practice this perspective or this belief of it's all on my shoulders and I got to do it all and it's all up to me and I got to solve it and I got to figure it out, you're essentially being that same guy who's telling your teammates, aka your inner being, get out of the way. I'm taking care of this myself. You go sit on the bench over there, right?
Yeah.
So the first step in the co-creational process and your role is holding the vision, right? So you and Brianna sitting at the kitchen table, mapping out the vision of a new home or a second home or your next home. That's the first step, right?
Okay.
And after that, it's about being present and then processing the resistance that comes up and then following impulses. And like I said, staying out of the way of your inner being or your source self so it can work its magic and so you don't choke it out. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. Here, go back to this one. I look better. Big. Yeah. All right. So with, here's what I'm going to guess. Like while you were waiting for your book, I'm going to guess you weren't just sitting around.
No, I was busy hanging out on the beach. I was doing my thing.
Okay. Now, Amanda, and maybe it is the case, but imagine Nick is the breadwinner.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, you stop producing income. Okay.
So
that's where her and I are at. And, so there's a masculine thing going on where I debate about myself, but outside of that, I don't really care. I mean, like the cool thing about Animated Abraham is it gave me a lot of money for a lot of years. And so like, I'm like living off it. It's good. It doesn't matter that it hasn't been doing anything for however long. Life is great, and I can pretend like I'm still producing income, or I can, whatever, but it still is. It's still, the money is still there, not enough to buy a new house, but it's still there. And so I don't feel like a pressure, and I don't feel, until last night or whatever night that was, right? Until that happened. And it's like saying, hey, like, I don't want to be the breadwinner. You need to step up again.
Well, you need to give money a reason to manifest. And people perceive money as like it's either coming in or it's going out. And Source said to kind of reframe that and perceive money as like something that flows in a cycle, right? It's a constant cycle of giving and receiving, right? So what I think I would do if I was in your shoes is I would find a reason to want the house.
Okay.
I would find something I could add to the house. Like, does the idea of having your own video studio in the attic feel exciting to you?
Yeah,
Or does
yeah,
the
versus the
idea
garage, right?
or does the idea of having like a pool and a sauna and a hot tub feel exciting?
Yeah, that's the only one I think about it. You nailed it.
So what you want to do is when you make this list with Brianna, tonight, if you make it tonight, you want to make this list as delicious as possible for both of you.
Okay.
And the more delicious it is, the more energy is behind it. And then the higher the excitement, right? And then that creates more momentum, and that creates the opening of like allowing things to flow.
Cool. I love that. Thank you. So I'll tell you another that I think that like everything, and I don't watch too much television. So the materialism has gone so far down because there's not this like external pressure. It was a really wild experiment I've been playing with for the last 2 years. Like you just don't have that impulse without that impulse being forced upon you. It's really fascinating.
I completely relate because I feel the same way too. For me, it's almost like over the last 5 years, my values have changed. Like travel feels less exciting, yachts feels less exciting. For me right now, the highest excitement is having a 60-acre property that I can just walk around in and play with the trees, play some disc golf, right? Which doesn't cost barely anything. Or like lately I've been watching overlander videos on YouTube. And
what is that?
It's like people who have like land, 4x4s, like a 4Runner or Land Cruiser. And then they have like, it's like an off-roading rig that you can spend multiple nights. Like they have their tent on the roof of the car. A lot of people are traveling South America. It's called overlanding, where you take back roads and you just camp in back roads, stuff like that.
Okay, like off the grid. They're okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough about me. Look at all these comments. Wait, there's a bunch of yeses.
So here's a question for our live attendees.
Yes.
What do you guys crave? For me, I crave nature, trees, being outside, throwing plastic circles. Nick, what do you crave?
So there's this thing I heard years and years ago about this guy that just lived under a Bodhi tree, and that was his role in life. He was the guy that was under the Bodhi tree.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to stop thinking about that for like 10 years.
Yeah.
There's a I don't know what that would ever mean, but I like that simplicity of simplicity.
That's exactly what it is. Simplicity. To me, it feels like, and I don't know if this comes from social media or what, but it's like there's too much noise. It's like I go on Facebook or Instagram. It's like every third post is an ad or a sponsored post. It's like none of it is stuff I want to see or look at. It's just like everywhere you look, there's billboards. It's just like I just want to be alone in the woods, hearing the wind blowing through the leaves, like serenity.
All right, here we go. We got space. We got the ocean. Calm and connection with like-minded people. See, now we're going. And then co-creation with others. See, now I like these last two. Because that I do feel like is missing from my life. And maybe I do value that, even though I just got done saying sitting what I consider solid, by myself. Co-creation does sound more and more appealing.
So how exciting would it be for you to go on a cruise? I've been eyeing these like little cruise ships lately.
Okay.
Half the size of the main cruise lines, which these smaller ships can get into more interesting places. And I think there's like probably still 200 or 300 rooms on them, maybe more. So if we had a bunch of people, friends, co-creational, and Abraham-Hicks inspired people on a ship for a week, what do you think we should do? What would we do? What would be fun? Just social?
I would let you do cruise life, and then I would tag along. And then I was, I run through every scenario, so I like over plan everything. So as soon as I fight with her, and it's like, oh shit, I got to start thinking about divorce and where would I go? And then I'm like hiding out in your forest. I'm like, wait, how could I get into Canada? I don't know if I could get in there. I think we're okay, but
we'll sneak you into Maine.
Oh, can you do that? Cool. Yeah, through a time zone that doesn't even exist for the Americans.
Yeah,
like your time zone, I don't even understand.
It doesn't exist. Yeah, I know.
Nature for me. See, yeah, there's nowhere in these are things. You know, they're not. You know,
nobody said the word.
That. Like
nobody said the word Ferrari. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. I think when we're at different ages and different life stages too, you crave different things.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that's what it is? Do you feel like you're manifesting less? I mean, it's right. It's just different.
I would say materialistically less.
Yes.
But it's not that stuff's not there. Like I've got over 1 million Avion points. I've got enough points, travel points on my credit card that I could take 6 trips around the world. And like it's been there for a couple of years, but it's like I don't have any interest in traveling right now. It's like the last time we traveled was Amsterdam for the Abe event and our own events last May, and it was great hanging out with collective members and everything and being in the hot seat again. But at the same time, it was like, I don't know, it was just we're enjoying our time here so much that like the inspiration to go elsewhere isn't strong enough yet.
I like your sauna though. I like that did resonate. That was fun. That's
totally
great. Yeah. So that's a material thing, but
it wasn't just about having a sauna. It was about the process and the journey of building it, right? It's like a 6-week project. And like now with this land that we're going to be closing on, you know, part of the idea is to build a retreat center to host events and to build a disc golf course. So like to me, it's not just about having these things, but it's the journey and the experience of these different projects.
Have you ever considered another YouTube channel? Yeah. So all the time. Like that's my obsession.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. So I obviously you're the star of this show. Like I think that
this is a coach.
Well, okay. No, I'm not even saying it like a weird way, but it's a development of me, right? And so I also thought about this last night. Okay. Have you ever thought about like changing? What would happen if you like changed your demeanor? Like, you know, you start standing up and you're on stage and you're jumping. Do you think that would make you a different star on YouTube? I'm curious about you.
I mean, it's like, what does YouTube viewers want? It's like, what makes people click?
And that's why I bring it up.
It's like I see 17-year-old girls on YouTube talking about law of attraction with millions and millions and millions of views. And like, okay, you know, vibrationally they're at that place, but it's like, you know, what do people really want?
There's some good, like they're not 17-year-old girls, but they're probably like 25. There's some good. I actually like their artistic style. Like I love the idea of like cinematography with law of attraction.
See, like, Nick and the word argument isn't quite the right word, but like, and people in the chat window, let me know if you recognize this, but there's a lot of women in the coaching world who market themselves in these like big flowy dresses standing in the desert and all of these things. And it's like women are just magnetized to it and they want to buy it all. And it's like content doesn't matter. It's the image of being in the desert with these beautiful flowy dresses, right?
But wait, your wife does that and it's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's great and she can do it and she loves it, but I don't know. I'm more focused on the content. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure some of them have great content.
Yeah.
But it's like that shiny factor where it's like, oh, I just want to buy shiny things.
Yeah. So to go back to that question is that I think that my thing was like, I've definitely played around with like you know, it's me as the star, and here's my progression of growth would be the channel, but in a very like cinematic way, like not like flowy on the desert, but look like a movie. There's framing, all that stuff is very interesting to me.
Yeah, but
I just found out that I'm not a good actor.
But you have to make sure you do it for you. It's like,
yeah, no, that is
YouTube,
but like
the algorithms, like it doesn't matter how good your channel is. You're still at the mercy of what the algorithms decide to show. It's like that spiritual channel we were talking about a few weeks ago. You know, it's a great channel. It was getting 300, 400,000 views per video. And then all of a sudden, YouTube stopped promoting it after years and years and years. And now they're only getting a couple of thousand views per video. And they haven't changed anything, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and of course, at the end of the day, it's all vibrational. But it's still interesting, you know, the impact of social media and how it all works.
When you see those other YouTube channels, are you just turned off because you can't deal with that space? Like you're too deep in the mud?
I don't know. It's like
I can't watch another animated channel and get excited about it.
No, and I don't watch any spiritual YouTube channels for sure. I watch travel. When I'm watching YouTube, it's either disc golf or travel.
Yeah. I watch this. Like I watch like podcast nonstop is pretty much it. But I do like, there's some really good, like I said, there's some 25-year-old girls, they're women that it looks so good. And it's just like, here's what I do for my morning routine. I love that. And it like, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. But then I record myself and it's like, I'm the worst actor. Like even an actor.
Yeah, but it's not even about
if I have to edit.
Like you could have somebody like, I don't know, you could have somebody who's in their 50s or 60s who's been studying morning routines for 30 years and do a video on how to optimize your morning routine. And then you could have a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old who spent 5 minutes reading a book and does a video on how to optimize your morning routine. And there's no guarantee that the person who's actually teaching good content is the one that's going to get all the views.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. But I mean, if you're, like you said, if it works for you, then it's going to work. That's a thing. So, you know, I think about this channel a lot because, you know,
okay, let me add something here. So
go ahead.
I got an email yesterday. So I use a video editor I did for a while called Wondershare. Have you heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
So Wondershare just released this AI tool where you give it a bunch of text. You choose the look of an AI character. You choose the voice. And this isn't animated. This is like real looking. Yeah. And they create a video of a person saying what you tell it to say. Yeah. And it looks completely real, completely legit, but none of it's real other than the text that you give it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm waiting for the, because I've thought about that with.
That would be a really interesting study to do, is to create 5 YouTube channels.
Oh, yeah.
And for me to say what I want to say, how to create a vision board or how to manifest something. Me do a video of myself and then take that same text and create 3 or 4 or 5 different AI people, different ages, different sexes, like different looks, and then post all of these videos on different channels and see if one of those videos outperforms the other ones significantly.
Yeah, it will. It will. The one with the cleavage will do better. Yes, but that's just like, well, that's just thumbnail. I'll actually take that back because you can get a really high click rate with breasts. I mean, it's true, but it doesn't get the watch time. Like if the core, and so that's where, you know, our like to open the door to our thing. Like we don't get a high click through rate, but you know, the content is so good that our watch time is huge. I like my Abraham videos never have this watch time.
Absolutely, but there's no growth to our channel, right?
Well,
so we've got the same number of people showing up as we had, you know, when we first started the channel 3 months ago.
So 2 weeks ago, I went through and I used ChatGPT to like create some thumbnails. and they're like phenomenal. Like it would be interesting what you think, but the click-through rates on them would be really something, I bet.
And were they choosing the titles, or were you choosing the titles?
I said, create me timeline hopping is the name of the thumbnail. Create it for me and do it with a black background and white text. And then it created this image. And I was like, that's interesting, you know, and then I would go back in through Photoshop and draw a red arrow and say, here, you know, I mean, it's very simple. I would bet that would have a 7 to 8% click-through rate, whereas ours are like 4.5 right now. Right. Because it's just, here's us. This is our thumbnail, right? You know, and it's and not to say that the other one where I had a coffee mug was better, but anyway, but like so yeah, your content is so good that I want to make all these short clips, but then like every time I dive into it, it's something's like holding me back. So actually, that's what I should work on after this. So ramp me up. How do I do this? Because I tried all day yesterday and I created nothing. Just I clipped up last week's show. Yeah. And I just like, I hate hearing myself. So I even have a version where it's just you. So I just watch you and I can handle that a little more, but I don't know. If I make short clips, I think it would be big. It would honestly, it would be and back to daily content.
I don't know. Cause I mean, we did reels.
Okay, those suck. Don't shorts. Short. Now we haven't for 2 months of no shorts, right? And so now the watch time is huge, to where if we have one single like 7-minute video, let's say a 7-minute video with 12% click-through rate, there goes the channel. There it's in orbit. One video. And you think that's how I mean?
And you think that the algorithm would say, "Oh, the watch rate is so high. Let's promote it."
Yeah, it just takes one. Yeah, that's all it takes.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's vibrational too, right? So we're just going to vibrationally.
So that's the thing. This is so much fun. How come the editing process is so like my skin crawls? Like maybe it was the thing. Maybe I was never meant to do that because I never picked out an Abraham clip. I just animated it and let it flow, you know, like there was, my wife did that. Maybe I would go back to that and have her pick out, here's this clip.
So is it the editing of the clips or the picking out of the clips that you don't like?
Out of the clip. I love editing. I just need someone to say from here to there. Okay, good.
You just need somebody to
pick out 7 minutes. I mean, it's not even a lazy thing. It's just like, there's some like a magnetic repulsion.
I can't go back and rewatch anything that I do. I can't even listen to my own meditations.
Now imagine if you were standing up and you're yelling to the crowd, you know, like you probably would really hate yourself in that situation. But I bet it would make a difference of your
it's not me.
I was just thinking. So is there a version of you that is like bombastic like that? Do you ever cry? Do you ever cry or yell?
Yelling, no. I'm trying to remember last time I yelled. Maybe a couple of times if my kids like really got me like.
Okay.
But that would have been like so long ago.
What about like a stand-up comedian? Do you ever watch stand-up comedians?
Here's funny. I yelled at the kid next door last night.
Right.
So I remember I was on my call here doing a live call. I don't remember if it was collective. I can hear Nick laughing in the other room, I think. All of a sudden I hear this loud thump, like something upstairs fell like hard.
What?
And I was on the call, so I couldn't go check it out. So after the call, I walked upstairs, didn't see anything. And then later that day, I noticed the kid renting, you know, he must have been like 14, renting the house behind us, hitting golf balls with the golf club in their backyard. So I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting. And then I kept an eye on them. And lo and behold, one minute I see him way over in the other neighbor's yard. Like he was all over the neighborhood with this golf club and this golf ball.
Shame.
And then all of a sudden I hear this another whack on the back of the house, and I knew immediately what it was. So I ran outside and I caught him and his friend like standing like 10 feet from my door picking up the ball, and I raised my voice significantly to tell him how inconsiderate it was and how brilliant it was to be hitting houses with golf balls.
Okay, how about stand-up comedians? Any performer, do you recognize trends or like traits in them that you could do?
But to me, all of this doing things to me feels efforting. Like me, I'm just me, and I can confirm
The fact where you can't ever be an entertainer.
Yeah, I can entertain, but
okay, in your way.
By being me, I'm an entertainer, right? So like, right. I think people generally think I'm a funny guy when people are here hanging out in a social setting, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't have to get on stage and over exaggerate who I am or my personality to kind of convey something I'm not.
Yeah, no, I'm not even casting judgment on it, but like I just kept thinking of like Bob Proctor and how Bob Proctor talks in a way that's weird, like, and it's something. There's something like novel.
But if you look at the Bob Proctor stuff, it's very efforting, right? Like I know he's labeled as a law of attraction teacher, right, but he came up with these 12 different laws that really are kind of irrelevant. And I used to get added to these Facebook groups all of the time by Bob Proctor students wanting to teach me the law of attraction. Well, if you're going around cold calling and going around adding people to Facebook groups without even asking them first, like that's totally effort, and that's the opposite of law of attraction.
Right. Yeah, to the fact where you like almost feel like the universal like bend around you then. Like you keep like your way. I guess I just wonder because it's as far as I don't know, like I'd be surprised if an actor thinks that they're doing the wrong thing. I mean, they're playing a role.
No, I think when you're purposefully and consciously playing a role, it's why am I playing this role? Am I playing this role to impress a girl so she'll go out on a date with me? Yeah. Well, I would call that being inauthentic, right? Am I playing a role because that's what I'm doing on stage to entertain an audience because that's what they're expecting? Then that's different.
Yeah. Okay. So
for me, when I show up, when I run my live calls or when I show up here with you or do anything that I do in my business, it's all from a place of authenticity. I'm not doing this to try to convince people of anything.
Right? And no interest in.
I could sit here and I could be like, you got to join the Breakthrough Club. Everybody who joins the Breakthrough Club will be making millions of dollars in the next 12 months. Right. And it's like, I mean, in the collective, we had a period where we did a 4-week or a 6-week money manifestation challenge. And we manifested like $2.5 million in less than 8 weeks. So like, we can do things like that. Like it happens and we've done it.
So do it. That's it. I mean, that's it. And that feels authentic. And like, to me, okay. So now use that same passion.
Did you just get fired up?
I'm fired up. So use that same passion and have the words be what your words are. I'm not even saying. I was running through scenarios the other night just for fun. I was like, what if like Nick got fired up and he's on stage pacing and like you're in an arena and you're like, like it's interesting. And what if it was because what you just did right there was fired up. Now just put your words in it. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I can. I mean, to me, it's like, so are we talking about being fired up now? I mean, I think there has to be a charge for somebody to get fired up. Right? Okay. And for me, this idea of like launching these manifestation programs, it just feels like it's so done and it's so old news that it's no fun anymore.
Yeah.
I would much rather have somebody come in and be like, Nick, I'm looking for a breakthrough in relationships, or Nick, I'm looking for a breakthrough in finances, or Nick, I'm looking for a breakthrough in topic XYZ, and then working through it. Right? I mean, that's what we do in the Breakthrough Club every week now.
Yeah. How'd you feel after you yelled at the kids about hitting golf balls? Did you feel a little fun?
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
Nick
that's
was
what I'm
laughing.
saying. That's
And it
what I'm
wasn't
saying.
yelling. It wasn't yelling like the mean neighbor. Like it was like have some. It was like more like like have some freaking common sense, dude. You're hitting my house with golf balls. You've done it more than once. You know, the first time maybe it's a mistake, but if you're doing it more than once in a 24-hour period, maybe you need to go take take your stuff to a driving range.
Yeah, people don't do that around here because we all have guns.
That solves everything.
Prevents a lot.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, that was an hour and we didn't take a single question. Whoops.
Yeah.
Who's going to go through this? I want to see. Uh-oh. It was shocking to see Angry Nick. Shocking.
Yeah.
Did you get laid that
Did
night?
I get? I don't know. Oh my God. All right. What's Natalie saying? Natalie has a question.
I have a question. Recently, my ex-girl left and I lost it. Okay. Got a ton of fear and super sad emotions about going out of control. And going out of control, is that an abandonment issue?
I mean, I don't know. You can label it abandonment issue. You could label it anything you want. I think the best thing to understand is how reality is just reflecting to us where it is we give our power away and what it is we need to process and let go of. So I don't think a label, if you want to label it and it feels good to label it, that's fine. But I think the important thing is just to allow the circumstances to show you what it is you want to look at and start working through those emotions that get triggered.
Well, and plus you're human. I mean, it would be surprising if especially if it was a surprise, you're going to not feel great. You're going to go through those processes.
Totally. Right.
Yeah.
And the important thing is, you can either blame them and feel victim to them and not learn and grow from the circumstance, or you can say, okay, so, this is a mirror to what I'm practicing. What is it that I can go inside of myself and heal and work through so that, the circumstances and future reality begin to change?
So I would ask, like, how would you work on that instantly? Would years in that mindset, or do you kind of allow yourself to be out of control? Because a breakup is not fun, but to feel that different way, that out of control is
I like
an interesting experiment.
I like how Abraham-Hicks says get into alignment and then.
Okay.
Right? So if I'm super triggered in that moment, then I'll sit with it, I'll feel it, I'll yell in a pillow or cry or do whatever, I'll get the energy out. And then, once I'm kind of more settled and stable in myself, then it's time to say, okay, so what are the emotions that surfaced? What do I need to clear? What do I need to look at for myself?
I've worked as a nurse for 38 years. You're expected to effort. It's exhausting. Not sure how to do my job without efforting.
I would say to remember that effort is a state of being.
Okay, go in it.
Right?
Let's hear more.
So it's exploring the energy that you're practicing as you're doing those tasks, because you can still do those tasks even though maybe you don't want to be doing those tasks. You can still do those tasks from a different energy.
Right. And that doesn't. So what instead of effort, what should she focus on? So it's productive, or
let's use your editing as an example. So let's say you have a project to edit and there's part of you just resist it. You don't want to do it. You're not in the mood to do it, but you have a deadline. So going into the project from the vibration of, oh, I don't want to do this. This is such a drag. This is such a pain. You're going into it from that energy of effort.
Yes.
So option B is go do a workout first. Right. Okay. And then you start aligning your thoughts to a place where, you know what, but I'll get it done. It'll feel so good once it's done. Right. I'm going to flow through this with ease. So it's calibrating yourself to a better place before you step into it.
So seeing that even future moment, that sounds great. So
Yeah,
instead of effort, she's saying all the benefits she's giving, and that there's got to be a moment for every patient that feels really good, or there's a moment after every, there's always a moment that feels really like I did it, you know?
There's always an opportunity to refocus in a different direction, right? One of my favorite things to do is make decisions based on highest timeline Nick.
Okay.
Right. So when anything's available, it's like, well, how would highest timeline Nick perceive this? How would highest timeline Nick take action on this? Would highest timeline Nick take action on this now, or would he meditate first and then take action afterwards? Right.
Do you ever feel like, because, and I always bring up punk like culture, because I mean, I've heard of like, you like certain songs that resonate with me. Like, I like to be defiant even against that sometimes. So highest timeline Nick wants to do X and, you know, piss off to him sometimes, you know, like I want to be a rebel.
If that's the exploration that feels best in that moment, then there's still nothing wrong with that either.
You just don't have that. You like highest timeline Nick and it feels good to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's my most connected me.
What if you just let go? You are expected to effort, as Nick says, just refocus. Yeah, I like that. Right. I like that, that moment. Right.
And that comes back to getting out ahead of it, right? Like Abraham-Hicks teaches. So like, you know, if you know you're going into work at 9 a.m. this morning, then you can wake up and immediately drop into the mindset of, oh, today's going to be full of effort. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck. I don't want to go to work. Or you can get up and put some good music on and decide, you know what? Fuck that shit. I want to have a good day no matter what happens at the office today.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Retired nurse, it's challenging. I would try to focus on being the most loving and kind to each patient client. Now, if that feels like effort, I mean, you wouldn't be in it for 38 years, I suppose, if you didn't feel that same way, right? Yeah. So it's just rekindling that, I suppose. There's so many things. Like I'm gonna go through all these, and maybe we'll have I'll ask these questions at the start of next week. Unless you want to just go to it and do them all. Ever during that $2 million challenge, I got a random $400 check in the mail right in the middle of a call. That was fun. Yeah,
that's happened quite a bit, and oftentimes it's on the first call. So every time we've done like a money challenge in some of the group programs, or I ran a money program, there was almost always somebody who manifested money during the call.
Yeah, I've been on them. It happened to me. You know.
Yeah.
It was like $800, whatever it was. It was just like, oh, that's every time. We should do that. What if we did that for a week? Or how would you even do that? You would have to, you like a system of that?
For do what exactly?
Or like if you did a challenge like on YouTube, would you do like week 1, week 2, week 3? Or
I don't know.
It's not even fun for that.
I don't know what it would look like. Because it's funny, because like part of the thing that irritates me about YouTube is it's all clickbaity titles, right? So like, this is how you manifest $10 million in 5 seconds. Right?
Well, okay, but fine. We manifesting money. We it is, right? We are doing this.
You know, one way we could word it is maybe like pose it as a question. So, can we manifest $10 million in 10 weeks, right? And do a call every week.
I mean, that's just as clickbaity.
But it's at least it's not like guaranteed $10 million in 3 days by drinking water and spinning around in a circle 10 times.
What if you manifesting? Here's how. Do you like the here's how or how to?
I stopped watching them because they were just ridiculous things, right? It's like,
yeah, but you're not ridiculous. Your techniques are really, really valuable.
Yeah, but some of the how-tos is like, I remember watching, there was some kind of process where people were pouring water from one cup into another cup and saying this will guarantee a text from your ex-boyfriend if you do this. And it's just like, I don't know.
I know, but we're not doing that.
Right. No, I know.
Okay. But so if you put that same title And then you okay, never mind guarantee. I don't want guarantee.
But then I fall in the same category as all of that clickbaity stuff.
No, you rise
it's
above.
Funny because
you're the cream of the crop.
What you're making me realize is like clickbaity is what gets all the views. At the same time, I don't want to get clickbaity.
Okay, but you value people viewing your content.
I value helping people.
And you value people watching you. And if you said, hey, let's go to the house example.
Okay.
Take away. It's going to happen however it's going to happen. But now you've got 1 million eyes on you in a positive way.
Yeah.
1 million's a lot. Like 1 million can be divisive. But whatever your number is that you want on you, that's all like engaged in the activity, we're all like really growing. There's got to be a number it hits. Okay. Do you care how you got it?
I'd have to reflect on that.
Do it.
I will.
I'm not saying I'm the best at titles. I'm good at thumbnails. And I think these thumbnails are really interesting. I would be interested to show you some of these things.
Yeah, it's like
since a robot made them.
To me, I can't do anything that doesn't feel authentic.
Right. What about like, and that's the thing with us being, two minds, and one is willing to do something that gets clicks. I'm not asking for money ever. I don't ever ask for money. I ask for your click. I ask for your time. I like that.
Cool. All right. Maybe we should start another YouTube channel and like
compete against ourselves.
Do the opposite of what we typically do and be like super clickbaity and see what happens.
No, I like this channel. This channel rules. And we
just
need
get rid of this channel.
No, why would you? No. This is it. And like, anyway. All right.
Cool. All right. I'm tapped out.
Me too. Thank you so much. That helped a lot.
This was fun as always. Thank you to everybody who took the time to come hang out. And for our School of Expansion students, Annick's doing a live channeling this afternoon. So we'll have our Abraham-Hicks style channeling plus hot seats at 3 p.m. Eastern time with the School of Expansion. So we'll see everybody else when we see you. Thanks again. Bye, everyone.